See, when this line is executed, that is my box one dot volume, okay. So this method will be called, okay. So this volume method will be called. So when this method is called, what happens? In place of width, height, and depth, these values are substituted: 10, 20, 15. See, we have two set of values: 10, 20, 15, 3, 6, 9, right? We should know which values are substituted, because we have only one set of lines, that is system.print volume is width, height, and depth. So one time have written width, height, and depth, okay. But we should know which values it will be substituted. So when you call the method, when you call the volume method, by using first object, that is my box one. If I say my box one dot volume, then this volume method starts working. So when volume method works, in place of width, height, and depth, these values are substituted. That is 10, 20, 15. Because with respect to my box one, values are 10, 20, and 15. Okay. So it will calculate and it will display volume is 3000. And when you call my box 2 dot volume, so with respect to my box 2, what values you have stored, those values are substituted. That is with respect to my box 2, 3, 6, and 9. Okay. So in place of width, height, and depth, it is substituted 3, 6, and 9. So 3 into 6 into 9, it is 162. Okay, so in that we have to understand. So if you compare with the previous program, in the previous program we have not used a separate method. In the main function only have written volume is equals to my box one. You just observe this program here. So in the main method only I have written volume is equals to my box volume one equals to my box one dot width into my box one dot height into my box one dot depth. Okay, and if I want to calculate the volume for the second object, that is my box 2, same my box 2 into my box 2 dot width, my box 2 dot height, my box 2 dot depth. In the volume, in the main method only I have calculated. That is, in the class I have not used the volume function, but in this program I have used the volume method. Okay, so that is in this program I used the volume method. In the volume method I have written width, height, and depth. I have calculated. Here we need not use like my box one dot width, my box one dot height, my box one dot depth. Okay, we need not use, because see, whenever you call the method volume method for that on that object, on that particular object, automatically those values are taken. So I have called the volume method on my box one, right? My box one dot volume, right? So these values are taken. Okay. So when you say my box two dot volume, these values are taken. So automatically it will take. We need not worry. We need not write here my box one or my box two once again here. It is understood. So compiler interpreter will take those values. Okay. So for my box one value is 3000. For my box two value is 162, depending on the values. Okay, now you just look at this explanation. In the above example, inside volume method, the instance variables width, height, and depth are referred to directly without preceding them with an object name or the dot operator. See, that only I said. I have not used my box one dot width, my box one dot height, my box one dot depth, because in the volume method directly we can write width into height into depth. That is, instance variables can be accessed directly without creating an object or dot operator within a class. So whenever you are using variables within a class, you need not write object name. If you are using instance variables outside the class, that is in the main method, then you have to mention the object name. See, here I have used object name, my box one dot width, my box one dot height, my box one dot depth, because you are using outside the class. These statements are outside the class box. It is in the main method, so it is outside the class. So we have to use object name dot variable name. But if you look at this sentence, it is within the class box only. So where you have written the variables, within that class only it is present. So you need not use object name here. That only they are saying in the explanation. Instance variables can be accessed directly without creating an object or dot operator within the class. When instance variable is accessed by code that is not part of the class, not part of the class means if you are using in main method, that is in the other class in which the instance variable is created, it must be done through an object by use of dot operator. So if you are using instance variable outside the other class, that means if it is not in the inside that particular class, if you are using outside the class or in the main method, then you have to use the object name dot variable name. Otherwise, you will get an error. Okay. and that too it depends on whether it is private, public, protected and all. But object name is compulsory. Only for static variables we need not use object name. Okay. Okay, next we will see adding a method that takes parameters. See, step by step we are going. That is, in the first example, we have not written the method. Only variables we have written. Now, in this example, we have written the method. We have written the method, but this method, it is not containing like parameters. I have not written like int a, comma int b, nothing I have written. So that is method without parameters. Okay, empty parenthesis. Okay. Next, what they are telling, adding a method that takes parameters. Next step we are going. If we add one method and if it has parameters, how we should call the method? So that we will see in this program. Okay. So this is the program. So we will see now. Okay. This program uses the parameterized method. Okay, class name is same, even variables are same, and I used the volume method. In addition to the volume method, I've used one more method, that is set dim. Dim means dimension, set dimensions. Okay, so when I say set dimensions, here I've used the parameters, that is W, H, D of type double. Okay, see, step by step the program length is increasing. You will not worry, because if you understand the program, that's the thing. Okay, so width equals to W, height equals to H, depth is equals to D. Okay, so in the box demo 5, in this class main method, in main method I have created two objects, my box 1, my box 2. So separate memory we are getting. One variable I have created, double volume. Okay, initialize each object. Initialize each object means initialize each box. Box is nothing but here object. So initialize each object means you have to give the values of the variables of that object. Values of the variables of that object. For my box 1, width, height, depth. For my box 2, width, height and depth. So for my box 1, I am giving the values 10, 20, 15. For my box 2, I am giving the values 3, 6, 9. See here, what we are doing, directly I am not giving value like this. That is, as we done in the first program, my box 1 dot width equals to 10. I'm not using this statement. I'm not giving values in this way. So instead of what we are doing, we are giving the values. That means we are sending as parameters. I'm using like a parameter. So it will go to this particular function, set dimension. So for this function, it will go. So it will match. That is, first variable is W, second variable is H, third variable is D. So first value 10 will be copied to W, 20 will be copied to H, 15 will be copied to D. In turn, again W will be copied to width, H will be copied to height, D will be copied to depth. So from right hand side variable to the left hand side, it is copied. Okay. So whenever we are copying, so by using assignment operator, we should be very careful. So on the left hand side, which variable we have write, on the right hand side, which variable we have write, we should be very careful. If suppose if you write W is equal to width, width value will be copied to W. So it is wrong. So next, similar to that, my box 2 dot set dimension 369. Next, we are calculating the volume of my box 1. We are calculating the volume of my box 2 by using the method volume. So that is shown in this diagram. You just observe this diagram. Okay. Before that, some explanation is there. We see. Okay. In the above program, when my box 1 dot set dimension is executed, value 10 is copied into parameter W, value 20 is copied into parameter H, value 15 is copied into parameter D. Inside set dimension function, the values of W, H and D are then assigned to width, height and depth respectively. That is, W refers to width, H refers to height, D refers to depth. W will be copied to width, H will be copied to height, D will be copied to depth. Okay. You just look at this diagram, you will come to know. Step by step, I have showed. See, first what I have done, box, my box 1 equal to new box. Here, my box, it is a spelling mistake, it is MYBOX. My box 1, the object is created. So for my box 1, you see width, height and depth, we are getting memory. For width, height and depth, 10, 20 and 15 are stored. See how these values are stored, that also you should notice. because I have not written the statement my box 1 dot width equal to 10, my box 1 dot height equal to 10, like that we have not written. Instead, we have copied the values from function. You just see this line, my box 1 dot set dimension. 10 will, you just look at the arrow mark, will come to know. 10 will be copied to W, 20 will be copied to H, 15 will be copied to D. Okay, 10 to W, 20 to H, 15 to D. In turn, W will be copied to width, H will be copied to height, D will be copied to depth. See, W, H and D are not variables of class. Okay, W, H and D are the parameters. We can think like temporarily. From these variables, again, we need to copy to width, height and depth. Just if you copy to W, H and D, we cannot say for my box one we are getting values. No, we are not getting. Once you copy from W to width, H to height, D to depth, then we are getting for width 10, for height 20, for depth, sorry, it is mistake, it is depth here, depth 15, okay. Unless and until you write this statement, you will not get the values. Next, similarly, for my box 2 also, for my box 2, my box 2 equal new box, so for my box 2 width, height and depth, so 3, 6 and 9. So you just look at this arrow mark, 3 is copied to W, 6 is copied to H, 9 is copied to D. In turn, W will be copied to width, H will be copied to height, D will be copied to depth. So you are getting 3, 6 and 9. So it is a small mistake here. You should consider it as a depth here, width, height and depth, okay. So in this way, we will copy the values to the set dimension function. In set dimension function, from parameters to instance variables it is copied. Then we can consider for my box 1, 10, 20 and 15. For my box 2, 3, 6 and 10. 3, 6 and 9. So when you calculate the volume, 10 into 20 into 15 for my box 1, 3 into 6 into 9 for my box 2. Okay. Okay, so if you just look at the diagram, if you have any doubts, you can ask. So constructor means wherever we come across the method name and class name same, then that method is called as constructor. Method is nothing but a function. So in this program, box uses parameterized constructor to initialize the dimensions of a box. Okay, right. You see, class name is box, method name is also box, right? Both are same here. Class name is box, method name is box. So we can say this is a constructor. So in the comment they have written this is a constructor, whereas volume is not a constructor, because volume name, the name of the method volume is not same as the class name. Class name is box, method name is volume. So this is not a constructor, whereas this coding is a constructor. This much it is a constructor. Okay. Next. So in box demo 7, in this class, we have the main method. We have, see now, step by step, we are moving. That means in the previous programs, if you observe, in all the previous programs of class and objects, you might have observed, have written like this. Okay, that means default constructor. I have not written any values because constructor itself I have not written in the class. Java is supplying default constructor. But in this particular program, what I have done, I have written the constructor. Okay. So, and that constructor is parameterized constructor. So how we can say parameterized means because I have used the parameters here. If I delete this, it is called default constructor. There is no parameters in that. So it is called as default constructor. See, default constructor in this sense, if you write manually, that is fine. If suppose if I don't write the constructor also, Java will provide one default constructor. That means this much code is provided at the time of execution. In the code, it will be not present, but at the time of execution, it is present. Okay, if we have not written. Or else manually we can write the default constructor. And even manually we can write the parameterized constructor. Okay, fine. Now we have written the parameterized constructor. Where we have 3 parameters. Okay, W, H, and D. What happens here is, okay. Box, my box 1 is equals to new box. So first one is called as class name, second name, that is box, is called as constructor name. In the constructor I have copied 3, I have put 3 values, 10, 20 and 15. See here, 10, 20 and 15 are integers, but I have used double data type. Type conversion happens here. It is converted to type. Data type double. That means wherever we see 10, it is 10.0, 20 means 20.0, 15 means 15.0. Okay. So 10 will be copied to variable W, 20 will be copied to variable H, 15 will be copied to variable D. In turn, again, W will be copied to width, H will be copied to height, D will be copied to depth. So for my box 1, we are getting the values 10, 20 and 15. Yes, we are getting same values. Whatever in the previous program we have considered, in the same way we are getting, but by using different method. So till this program, we have not used the constructor method, that is parameterized constructor method. Here we are using parameterized constructor method. We just look at this diagram. Okay. You look at this diagram, you will come to know how it is. See, my box 1 is equals to new box. Okay, constructor will be called. 10 will be copied to W. You look at the arrow mark, will come to know. 10 will be copied to W. 20 will be copied to H. 15 will be copied to D. In turn, W will be copied to width. H will be copied to height. D will be copied to depth. So in the previous program, I have used the function name set dimension. But here I am using constructor. So that is also method only. Set dimension is a method, constructor is also a method. Constructor is we can consider special type of method because class name and constructor name will be same. Okay. So when you are copying 10, 20 and 15 by using constructor, in turn W, H and D are copied to width, height and depth respectively. Now we can say for my box 1 object, we are getting the values 10, 20 and 15. So this is the construction of an object. So object is constructed. So only it is called as constructor. Constructor meaning is to construct an object. So when object is constructed, then we get a memory and then we store the values. Okay, so 10, 20 and 15 are stored. And if you say volume is equals to my box 1 dot volume, whatever the values we have considered for my box 1, those values are substituted here. In the function, those values are substituted. So volume method is called, in the volume method, we have the statement return width into height into depth. For width, we are getting value 10. For height, we are getting value 20. For depth, we are getting value 15. Understood? Because 10, 20 and 15 are referred to my box 1 and we are calling the method in that way only, my box 1 dot volume. Okay. Next, when box my box 2 is equals to new box of 3, 6, 9, when this statement is executed, 3 will be copied to W, 6 will be copied to H, 9 will be copied to D. In turn, W will be copied to width, H is to height, D is to depth. So for my box 2, we are getting the values 3, 6 and 9. And when this statement is executed, volume is equals to my box 2 dot volume. Volume method is called on object my box 2. See on which object you are calling the method, values of those object are copied. Okay, if by mistake if you change the method object name, so values will also change. So instead of writing in the first statement like volume is equals to my box 1 dot volume, by mistake you written my box 2 dot volume. If the statement is already executed, then 3, 6 and 9 will be substituted here. And here also, instead of writing my box 2 dot volume, if you write my box 1 dot volume, if the statement is already executed, then it is substituted 10, 20 and 15. So you should be very careful on which object you are calling the method, the values which are referred to that particular object, those values are substituted. So for my box 2, we are getting the values 3, 6 and 9. So 3 into 6 into 9 is calculated, that is volume. Okay, okay. You just look at, so in the program, okay. So in the program, after execution of these two statements, we are calculating the volume. Volume is equals to my box 1 dot volume, and that volume is printed. And we are calculating volume is equals to my box 2 dot volume, and that value is printed. Okay. You just go through this diagram. So if you come across any doubts, you can ask. So output is same for the previous program and this program, and the way of writing is different, that's all. So just to go through this diagram, so if you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, I hope you people have understood. Move further. So next concept is method overriding. Okay. Okay. Sorry, method overloading. Okay. So here method refers to functions. So it is nothing but function overloading concept. Okay. In C++ we have one chapter by name function overloading, right? So here we have the topic method overloading. Method overloading is one of the ways of polymorphism. Okay. Okay. So method overloading. So method overloading is one of the ways of polymorphism. We have the OOPS concept, that is OOP concept, encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism. So polymorphism means poly meaning many, morphism means forms. Okay. So poly meaning many. So generally we say in mathematics also we come across pentagon, octagon. So that means if there are more sides, they say poly. Okay, poly means many. So morphism means forms. So polymorphism means having many forms. So having many forms in the sense, by using one name, if you do multiple operations, then it is called as a polymorphism. See, one example I will tell you here only. See, in in Java only, if we consider, we have the operator called as plus, right? Okay. See this operator, just a minute. Okay. See, we have the operator called as plus, right? See, if this operator, if I use with integer numbers, say like 10 plus 20, so we know, so it will be calculated. If people please zoom it, if the font size is small, zoom and see. So 10 plus 20, okay, so it is calculated. So the result will be 30, we know it, okay. But if this, so plus is behaving like a arithmetic operator here, that means it will add. But if the same thing, if I use in a function called as a print, that is system.out.print or println, if I say 10 plus 20, here it will not calculate because plus will be treated as concatenation operator, that is combining. So it will combine two things, 10 and 20 is combined, so you will get the result 1020. Like this we get the result. That means plus is stated as arithmetic operator, that is used for addition as well as for concatenation operator. So if one operator, if it is behaving differently in different situations, that concept is called as overloading. So it is operator overloading. Now we are using method overloading. So in case of methods also same thing. In this example I will tell you how it happens. So one more example is like we have the operator called as this operator. This operator is named by two things. That is, in C++, it is called as insertion operator or output operator. So it is called as insertion operator or output operator. That is when we use in the cout statement. If I use like cout, okay, just say welcome. This is called as insertion operator or output operator. That means it will display. Output means to display. But the same operator, if you use with bits, okay, bits means 0 and 1. If you use with bits, what happens? It is called as a left shift operator. That functionality is different. Okay, it is called as left shift operator. So when you look at the name of the operator only, you can say functionality will be different. If you say insertion or output operator, functionality is different. If you say left shift operator, functionality will be different. So if the functionality is different for the same operator, that is called as operator overloading. You should consider the operator symbol same, but functionality should be different. So then it is called as overloading. Okay, so it is doing multiple operations here. Same operator doing multiple operations. So it is called as polymorphism. So wherever we see one particular operator or one particular method, if it is doing different operations, then it is called as overloading. Okay. So now in the present scenario, we have the method overloading. Okay. See here, it is called method overloading. Why? Because you just see in the program, we have used the function name test. Okay. See, same function name I used many times. So from C++ we know functions with the same name but with different parameter list or a different number of different types of parameters called as function overloading. Function name should be same, but inside that coding should be different, and parameters what you are using that should be different. Parameter types or different number of parameters. Okay. See, the process of having two or more methods, that is functions within the same class that share the same name, that is common name, but with the different parameter declarations is known as method overloading. Different parameter declarations means either number of parameters should be different or data type of the parameter should be different. Then that is called as method overloading. When Java encounters a call to an overloaded method, simply executes a method whose parameters match the arguments in the call. So we will see in the program. So first we will see this class overload demo. This class we see what it is. See, test function is there. You see how many times we have written. So 4 times we have written. Okay, 4 times we are using the same function name, that is test. And you look at the parameters. In the first case, no parameters. So by looking at the message only, we can say no parameters. In the println method, I have used no parameters. In the second case, I have used one parameter, that is of type integer. In the third case, I have used 2 parameters with type integer. In the fourth case, 1 parameter, but data type is different. So if you compare with the second function and last function, one parameter is matching, but data type is different. If the number of parameters are same, use a different data type. If the number of parameters are different, then you need not worry about data type. Of course, it is different number of parameters. Okay. In the third function, I use 2 parameters. In the fourth function, 1 parameter with double data type. Okay. Now, when we come to the main method, okay, I have created the object OB. OB is the object of class overload demo. And now you can call all the methods here. So how to call? See, object name is same, function name is also same, but you see which functions are called at what point. Okay, when first function is called, when second function is called, when third function is called, you will come to know. Okay. See, when you use ob.test without a parameter, then first function is called. Okay, first method is called. So it will print no parameters. When we use ob.test of 10, one parameter is there, and that parameter type is integer, because in 2 methods, one parameter is there, in the last function and in the second function, but data type is different. Depending on the data type, it will call. So I have used one parameter, that parameter value is, that value data type is int, so you should go for the second function. Okay, a value will be assigned a value, that is 10. And ob.test of 10, 20. Here 2 values are there of type integer, so you have to go for the third function. So a will get the value 10, b will get the value 20. And the last, ob.test of 123.25. So it looks like a floating point value, that is a double data type. So we should go for the last function. Okay. So in this way, 4 functions are called depending on the number of parameters and the type of parameters you use. Okay, so first function contains no parameter, second function parameter with integer value, third function 2 parameters with integer values, fourth function 1 parameter with a double value. Okay, now you look at this diagram. We come to okay. See, ob dot test. See, on object ob, we are calling the function. So test function is called, that is, so in the test function, in the function call statement, so this is called as function call statement, method call statement. In the method call statement, I have not used the parameters. So empty parenthesis is there. So this method is called. Second time when I use the test function, I used one parameter. That parameter type is value type, data type is integer. So second function is called, which is of type integer. In the third function word, when I am calling for the third time, so I use two values 10, 20. So 10 is of type integer, 20 is of type integer. So 10 will be copied to A, 20 will be copied to B. Third function is called because two values with the type integer. See, in all the cases, function name is same, but there will be no confusion in calling the function because of parameters. No parameters, one parameter, two parameter, and the last one is one parameter but double data type. So 123.25 is copied to variable A, and that value it is returned. So how it is returned means return A into A. So 123.25 into 123.25. So that value is returned to the main function. So result is equals to ob.test of 123.25. So it is calculated 123.25 into 123.25. That value is returned to this particular line, and that result is substituted here. So we are getting these values. You just observe these values. So we are getting these values. Okay. Okay, then look at this diagram. So if you have any doubts,